Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by Neil, Righteous Force, 10th Man, Brian's Logic, Arwin, Refracted Curvature, and Chocolate Sane, who joined right in the middle of my introduction. Also a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all, even Chocolate.
Yeah. Let's get it on.
Let's start the morning with chocolate.
Hello, it's good to have you all.
Yo.
Welcome. If you're a member, check out the show once this live and after show finishes recording, as we covered a pretty no-name flat earther that one of my, well, I'm not going to lie, my favourite moderator, which is Divergent Droid, suggested we cover. It wasn't necessarily mainstream enough to cover in the live show, but we did go through it, or I did, while everyone else listened in the pre-show. So if you want to check that out, it'll be out as soon as this recording finishes, which will be in a few hours' time. So check it out if you're a member. Become a member if you're not already, as I said in the intro. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? It's a horizon formerly known as Earth curve for boats to fall over on a globe.
Climetry.
That's not a logical or coherent response, Neil. What do you mean plyometry? Any evidence of Earth curve for boats to fall over?
Yes, but we wouldn't expect to see it. So yes, but no.
The angle to the horizon changes as you elevate.
I try once more. The horizon's not an Earth curve. Any evidence of Earth curve?
But that's what they claim, is that as you raise an altitude, the angle to the horizon changes, and therefore that's Earth curve.
I don't know what's going on with G Plus today. It seems to be all over the place with the audio levels, much more so than normal. So if it sounds weird in the live stream, I'm working on it. I don't know why it's a bit wacky on G Plus. But we'll get it figured out. What about axial rotation? I know it's their claim, John. We debunked it in 2020 though, eh? Axial rotation of the Earth-based variety? Anybody? Anybody at all?
Nathan, can we go back to what John said just for a second for the audience?
Yeah.
So, John, what you're saying is that if you are seeing to the horizon, say at sea level from the shore of a beach, and then you go up to a bluff, say 50 foot above that shore level, you see further, and they're saying you're seeing over a curve. Well, you're just seeing further on the plane, just like you saw what you saw at the shoreline of the plane. But the higher you go, your angle changes, so you just see furthermore on the plane, but they call that distance that you gain as Earth curve, as seeing over something rather than seeing more because of your angle, correct?
Yeah, but you flat earthers claim the horizon is eye level, so
I don't claim that. No, I don't claim that. Anybody else here claim the horizon's eye level?
Nah.
Would anybody else
Nope.
agree that from your mere human eyeballs, you could say that the horizon appears to rise with you as you raise in elevation?
Due to perspective, yeah.
Yeah. It appears to, yeah.
It doesn't. Their R measurement used to be based on that dip to the horizon, and the differential between the baseline that you'd measure angles for navigation with and the eye line at elevation would be the calculation for the curve.
But why would you need to calculate it? Shouldn't you just measure it? Shouldn't this physical Earth curve be physical?
Well,
We
once
debunked
you
it.
introduce the straw,
Sorry, go ahead, John.
once you introduce the straw man of what it would be on a flat Earth, right? Then you can assert that it's only possible on a sphere. And look, here's measurements of it.
When you assume the horizon's a physical geometric limitation to your view, called Earth curve, with boats falling over it.
Yeah, it's got some minutia to it.
I'll just scoot past axial rotation and say no, because you need an R value for it. Again, scooting past the R value, which we also debunked when we debunked the limitation to the sphere that's claimed at 1.2 times the square root of the universe of sine feet, meaning they can't measure R anymore with Alberuni's dip measurement to the horizon, implying that they're prepared to hang their hat on being able to get a measurement to the fact that the horizon dips as you rise. But nevertheless, the stupid flat earthers will hang their hat on that straw man because they don't know how to use the word apparent. Meanwhile, any evidence that level is not horizontal?
Being that level is a horizontal? No.
Or SciManDan, I don't watch SciManDan, but obviously, in spite of the fact that I'm not subscribed and I don't think I've ever even watched a video of his, I still get recommended him all the time. And his most recent one is flat earthers think level equals flat. Like, level, what, having no elevation higher or lower than another? That would be flat. But for some reason in his thumbnail, SciManDan's prepared to hang his hat on the most stupid assertion you could possibly assert. And get 115,000 views for it.
You got 115,000 views for saying that level is not horizontal.
I don't know what he said in his video, I didn't watch, but what I did see from his thumbnail is words that alluded to flat earthers think level equals flat. I'll see if I can dig out the thumbnail, because that's about all I've got to show you. I think I've stuck it in the war room. Just give me a second or two and I'll find it for you. While I'm doing that.
Right. Well,
Go on.
the thing is, flat is synonymous with horizontal. They're practically synonyms when you think about things geometrically. So it's no different than saying that level is not horizontal.
Am I supposed to think level is curved?
So we got a rise out of someone, huh?
Who? Dan? If it's level, there is no rise. Or relief. Right, there you go. So I saw it, I just screen capped it, and I was like, okay, there you go. That is question, does level equal flat? Question mark.
That's obvious, yes. Does he not understand geometry?
Clearly not. No, we're dealing with thickos. And like I say, these thickos that ask stupid, benign questions that you could just literally look up a definition. They'll put it on a thumbnail and that'll entice 115,000 views in 3 days.
Maybe it's because it's like a car wreck and everybody's just like, wow, I gotta check this out.
I assure you that will not be the case. He's not getting 115,000 views from people going, wow, what a moron. No, that won't be the case.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense.
Does it matter? When he's raking it in, I'm just bitter as a YouTuber. Allow me to have my bitterness.
I don't
I was trying to
understand
give you
because
some hope.
the orientation of flat is the same as level and horizontal. It confuses me how people can say otherwise.
They can't. If they don't understand geometry, they do. That's why we have idiots over at Bev Try Thinking's channel asserting that there's a bendizontal. It's like, no. Even your own geometry lays out what eye level and surface level are. And they certainly aren't conforming to the curvature of the water level when water level's level.
Are we going to react to SciManDan's video?
Can if you want. Post it if you want me to respond to it. I will only watch this crap when it's on my stream because then essentially I'm getting paid for it. So I'm happy to look at it if you want me to watch it. Because literally I've got a monetized channel to watch it on. So yeah, I'm not going to waste my time watching it in my own time. But now, yeah, no worries. Just post it in Master B. Or Mass Debaters, as it's been renamed. Or it was originally named by me.
You know, now that I understand this a little bit better than like 4 or 5 years ago, I'll turn on one of their videos, the anti-flat Earth videos, just for comedy now. Like, you need a good laugh.
No offense to you, but I've got better things to do.
Yeah, but it's entertainment, you know? Like, just put it on in the background and you can giggle to it.
John, you know what's funny? They say that when they come here in chat. I'm here for the entertainment and comedy. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's projection by the sounds of things then. If it is literally that comical when they make such stupid assertions or ask such stupid questions, then that can only be projection. In other words, their globe side is a comedy clown show of errors. And when we come here and take apart their claims, the easiest thing to do is claim that which your own side's guilty of. Well, you're all a clown show. What, when we consistently and concisely take apart your nonsense on a daily basis? While you tell us, Flat Earth won't be here for another 12 months. What, 7 years later, we're still doing the same thing with everything we say being unchallenged? Yeah, what a clown show.
And getting stronger.
Meanwhile,
Arguments are getting... Yeah.
is level flat. Dun 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 dun. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Gonna need that for that.
You will need R. Any scientific evidence of gravity? Is someone posting this damn video in Mass Debaters or not?
No science.
Neil, or can someone post it, please, for me?
Yeah, if you're going to do that, you've got to nominate them. And they've got to respond. Nobody's coming off mute for you, Eli. That just goes to show the allegiance. The allegiance.
Painful. All right, I'll find it.
I'm going to find it right now.
It shouldn't be
Thank
hard
you,
to
John.
find. Just type my name in and it'll come up. Do a search for me and you'll find Dan comes up.
No shit, that's what I was going to do. I'm going to type in Nathan Oakley versus SciManDan. And then
I love it. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
They're not science.
I've kind of lost track of which ones we haven't covered. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without a container?
Negative. Just
Well, up in
asking
the
for
ISS.
conspiracy cats.
Up in the ISS? What do you mean, up in the ISS? It's a light in the sky.
No. There's people on that light.
No, there is not. People on a set, on a stage. What bugs me at the moment, while you're saying you watch entertainment like SciManDan, which is probably why he's got 115,000 viewers if you're watching him. You represent a good chunk of other people doing the same, but fair enough. That's just the way it goes. I watch people debunking things like ghosts. Yeah? And they'll go through it and go, here's a After Effects layer, and here's this other program and how this works, and they'll show you how it's all done. Or if it's dust going across a UV lit night vision camera, they'll show you how that's done. In other words, they can demonstrate how it's been faked. And the amount of times I've typed into one of these videos, why don't you do the moon landing? I gave you an example the other day, actually, with Rob Ager. That one was from years ago. I just happened to go back to that video because there was bugger all else to watch, and noticed that I'd already watched it, and I'd already commented, and it responded. But, you know, I could go on forever about the amount of videos I go into and go, why don't you have a look at the moon landing as you're pulling apart fake footage? Just have a quick goosey, you know, see what you think. Bearing in mind that the sky is not a vacuum, and if it was, we'd all be dead. But knowing that, why don't you go and have a look at how they fake the footage? In other words, there's no ifs, buts, or maybes about there being fake footage from the ISS or moon landings. It is fake. come from a fake place. It's come from a sky vacuum. If someone says, oh, they're not high enough to be in a vacuum, yeah, NASA defines the sky vacuum from surface level. They have to. So it doesn't matter about the gradation of that sky vacuum that you're describing. The black bit that they're in, yeah, in a photo, shows Earth as a sphere with no containment and gas pressure next to a vacuum. Doesn't matter how high they are. That's the system they're claiming they are in when they say they're on the ISS, which is represented by a light in the sky, when it's really men on high wire in a studio. Blatantly obvious. If it's not obvious by now, given that that is 99% of what flat earthers cover, look at this NASA footage. Look how fake it is. Look how they disappear as they go off screen. Look how this green screen effect turns on and off. It's like, if it's not obvious by now that it's on a stage, when that is, like I say, most of what flat earthers actually cover, boring though it is to me, then there's no help for you. But what I'm intrigued with is how a normie will react. Go back, normie, talking about After Effects. Look at the moon landing. Tell me you can't see the line where the soundstage ends. Because that's what it is. It's a backdrop. Now, if you can't tell that, and you're a film analyst, then there's no helping you either. You're so brainwashed that you'll delude yourselves that things that are clearly fake, like the ISS, it's obvious that they're on high wire. And they really piss down your back when they show you the making of Gravity and show you how it's done, show you how they do it with a fake ceiling and replace the CGI ceiling in a later date. They're showing you how it's done. But yet you still want to believe it. Well, why? Well, because that's your paradigm, right? It affirms your belief, your religion. Go on, whoever that was, Eli or Chocolate.
Are you saying that the footage of the guy on the ISS that basically teleported out of the screen, you mean that's not real? They don't have teleportation technology on the ISS?
No, people don't tend to fade when they move into the next room.
Oh, man.
See, the problem with that is, Nathan, the problem with that is they have done such a number on the normal people that we had a whole conversation about how space is fake and all that, me and my brother. And 10 minutes later, his wife is saying how she would love to go to space and travel there. I mean, it's insanity. You could show them clear as day. You could explain gas pressure out of container, and they're just so blinded to it that they will not listen.
In their mind, though, you're just not an authority on the subject. You're not allowed to say that space doesn't exist.
That's what it is, my sister-in-law. You hit it right in the head. It's exactly what it is. Because then she brings up, well, all the scientists are wrong. Then you got to break down science to her. And they just go from one to the other, and they'll walk away shaking their head saying, no, it's true.
Well, they have telemetry data, so you can't deny that, right?
Yeah, we can. We can debunk that.
Oh, damn. We erased that by accident. Shit.
What if they had it?
Time.
They need to erase that stuff so that in the future, if it continues, that's the heliocentric paradigm, which it may not. I'm more and more doubtful by the day, just by the fact my kid keeps coming up to me and talking about flat Earth. Not because I've instigated it. I teach my kid heliocentrism, right? I want her to have a normal place in society when she grows up, both of them. But the older one especially, because she's more communicative and learning. And I wanted to learn about heliocentrism. Now, it is our Western world religion. It's what the normies believe in. Therefore, she will be badly served by me if she isn't taught it. So I teach her it. So at no point am I bad-mouthing it. I'm just teaching it. But with that in mind, to have her come up to me and tell me about something that she's seen on YouTube and has resonated with her, she's not typically sat in the room listening to these sorts of conversations. Yes, she's here now, but she's not in the room now. So I doubt she's listening with her ear up against the door to figure out what the nature of Earth is. She's more influenced by stuff she watches on YouTube Kids. And the more time goes by, the more she's convinced, as a little kid, that the Earth's flat. Not because I'm trying to brainwash her into it. Far from it. I don't talk about it with her. When I go through it was quite amusing the other day, actually. I think it was Eli showed some science kits that he saw in Best Buy or wherever the hell he was, some supermarket, for like $5. I'm like, yeah, I've got dozens of them. And they've all got hang the planet on the solar system in them. That's how they are, right? Doesn't mean every Wednesday I don't do my little science lesson with her. And if it happens to be a heliocentric lesson, she'll get it. Right? In other words, it's a shock to me when my kid comes up to me and talks about flat Earth. And I almost have to say to her, you may not want to talk about this, which might sound weird to you as an audience member, because you typical flat earthers more for boasting about how they brainwash their bloody kids, which kind of annoys me. It's like, no, you're in a Western world society. It's like if you're in a Muslim country, you'd want to teach them about the society that they were in, so that they understood it. Isn't that sensible?
Right.
But not according to a lot of flat earthers I see on YouTube, where they will boast about the fact they're brainwashing their kids, half the time with complete nonsense they don't even understand. Anyway, that's enough of my moaning.
Oh, no.
What do you
Let me
mean
highlight
brainwash?
that. Let me highlight that.
Wait.
No, wait.
What do you mean brainwash?
Let me highlight why that's a problem, and why that makes this show a stark difference from the rest. Because my daughter doesn't even know that I think the Earth is flat and all of that yet, right? And the whole thing is, I want her to know what I've forgotten and what I've spent time to re-educate myself about, the foundations of this religion. That is heliocentrism. That was the most important and most precious thing to me. I wasn't off somewhere trying to imagine a world that I can't possibly prove exists to anyone else, right? So why would I go around trying to tell my kid what the earth is, or child, what the earth is, and what the sky might be, and what space might be, and all of these things? Why would how is that going to help her in a debate somewhere in school about the cosmology they believe in? It's not.
But why would you be?
Yeah,
Why'd you want to help her in debating something? Understanding something
exactly.
in comprehension isn't the same as wanting to fight for a cause. So when I teach her, it isn't because I'm necessarily teaching her it because I wanted to be a heliocentrist. I just wanted to understand a societal worldview. That's it.
Right.
Mhm.
And there's a level of respect amongst your teachers that you need to maintain, just so that they can get through to higher levels of education. So, like, it's crippling a kid to religiously preach in their ears about the earth being flat. But I think there's a balance that you can hold between it. I tell my kids that I don't believe the earth is flat, and I'm not lying to them.
You know damn well it is. But that aside, when it comes to my kid and it's not in a lesson, it's almost indifference when she tells me that she thinks there's unicorns up there. Yeah, if you like. Because she's 6, world of imagination. What a fantastic place to be. Like, yeah, imagine away. Why do I want to rob that from her? No, you are wrong.
Well,
No unicorns.
There are you.
I would say that's probably a good thing, because what is it that flat earthers got over most of the normies? And we know the heliocentric model better than I would say 90% of the normies out there, right? So the best way to juxtapose that next to you, who's a flat earther who actually has a show about it, right? And then she's actually still learning about it. I think that's the best way for her to grow, so that she can understand that, yeah, there is a heliocentric model religion purported in the Western world, but then there's also another aspect to consider. And I'll tell you this, if it was me, like, and I had a parent in the next room talking about a whole entire different paradigm than the one I experience when I go outside, I'd be very curious.
Yep.
So I don't know about her, but I'd be all over it.
Sure, but the
You know?
unfortunate part of heliocentrism is it isn't the world you experience when you go outside. Nothing about the globe Earth, as presented in the model, is represented in the world that you experience. The claim ends at the horizon.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying it might be a good thing that you're still teaching her that, so that she can take that up upon herself, so that when she goes outside, just like I did when I was a kid, she goes outside, she's like, well, I got taught this and this and that, and I see this and that on television, but I don't experience any of that. And
So
a lot of kids, if they don't experience it, it's not real to them. Like I said, but my girl's daughter told her teacher, stop telling kids that the earth is a ball. It doesn't look like that. It's not that. And she was like an 8-year-old girl. she doesn't, she's not a flat earther. She doesn't know anything about that. But she's aware of it. And to her, that's what it seems like. So she straight told the teacher, nah, I don't buy that.
Anyone
Anyway,
found
I'm
this
done.
Dan link? Still waiting on this Dan link. Dan, not down.
I'm having trouble finding Dan claiming in his thumbnail that level is not flat.
Yeah, I'll put it up on the live stream if you tuned into it, so you can see it. So you can see which thumbnail it is. It's got like a picture of a horizon with a cloud in the middle, over water, a little bit of foreground.
Yeah, I found it.
You got it? Okay,
Hold
so
up.
it looks like we are going to cover SciManDan in this. We're not going to just chat all day about our kids, which was lovely. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
anybody who wants to find it, anybody who wants to find it, all you gotta do in YouTube is type in SciManDan. It's literally the first video from 3 days ago.
Okay, can you post it?
Yeah, I'm looking for Master B.
Again, we're going in
Church.
blind on this, but because it's a SciManDan video, I'm fairly confident what we're going to get. As we have covered SciManDan before, let's be honest.
We're going to get a lot of baseless assertions. It's going to be half baseless assertions and half straw men.
We'll see.
In false dichotomy. I'm just saying it's going to be. It's about an assurity with him. It'll either be baseless assertions or straw men and false dichotomies with those straw men.
Oops. Grabbing the wrong window. One sec. Whoever's coming in, I will get to you. There we go. Right, should we get straight into it then?
Every 4.
Oh, I'll have to skip through the ads. Just give us a sec. Right, it's only a
Hello, Adam.
It's only a 12-second ad, so we can at least get a bit of revenue out for us covering him. There we go. I'm sure that's enough.
Come on, you. Every time.
My God, what a crap start to a video. 100 and how many?
Since you have all been loving the Flatsoid series so much, we are...
I have, you're right. How did you know? My God, we are more akin than I thought. I was all wrong. I really am enjoying the Flatsoid series. That's right. How did you know that?
once again going to take a look at his debunking of Professor Dave's famous Globebuster video.
Famous Globebuster video? Total shite. We covered that.
And incidentally, he hasn't taken the first two parts of this little mini-series very well. As you can see, he has released two videos in response. SciManDan is clueless and SciManDan is under pressure.
No, we'll have to figure this out. We'll have to make our assessment after the fact in terms of Flatsoid's assessment. We'll see based on what you do today.
I see what you did there, Flatsoid. So, what do we do with that then? Keep going, of course.
Wow, what was that? Why haven't we got any real pictures of the sphere from a sky vacuum? So, in SciManDan's intro, he's got a second law of thermodynamics violation. What's going on, Dan? Let's just spin that back just a smidge.
And of course.
There we go. What's this? Is this the gas at high pressure not filling the sky vacuum at 10 to the minus 17 torr, Dan? It's also on a mural behind you. That second law of thermodynamics violation you think is a sphere Earth that we debunked. Here would be your sphere Earth edge that we've debunked. Yeah, if the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959, as is depicted in your intro, then every distance to the horizon measurement could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as laid down in your maths. So you've got a edge. This edge. For your boats to fall over, remember? Yeah, we debunked that 1st Jan 2020. We've got demonstrable proof that the horizon is not capable of being measured, geometrically speaking, to give you an R value. What's that you say, refraction? With R in it? Definitely not. Furthermore, you've not got a sky vacuum. We'd all be dead. This high pressure gas, see on this edge, it's next to a 10 to the minus 17 to a vacuum here, Dan. That means that we'd all be dead. It's a law of nature. Gas fills space. And what do you know? The bullshit in your intro is a black area claimed to be a space for gas to fill. Yeah, this isn't real, Dan. You've been completely fooled. Go on.
But SciManDan is under gas pressure. Like it's pressing on him in all directions. So how can it be pressing on him in all directions but not filling space? It doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, it just means that the second claim made by Flatzoid in the thumbnails that Dan's apparently going to be addressing, SciManDan is under pressure. Yeah, you are. That's right, Dan. That's very fortunate, because if the sky was a vacuum, you wouldn't be under pressure. Yeah, the gas would fill the space. That's entropy law. Something you're clearly unaware of.
Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Flat Earth Friday with me, SciManDan. Thank you.
Right, we're a minute in. We've got basically nothing to get our teeth into so far, Dan.
Thank you very much for joining me. Before we begin today, a massive thank you to the sponsors of today.
We're a minute in.
Today's video, Raycon. Raycon's wireless earbuds, headphones, getting some from our youngest sister, who still, would you believe it, in this day and age, uses those rubbish wired headphones. I think we can all agree it's okay for a big brother to call his little sister 15% off.
Oh my God. We are now over 2 minutes into this video. We've had nothing but 50% ads.
Site-wide with the code HOLIDAY. There will also be new pop-up deals every day with Raycon's countdown to Christmas. And I'll try and keep the description box updated with the latest offers. But
my God, how long does this advert go on? That's 1 minute and 12 adverts.
You can always go to buyraycon.com/SciManDan to get the best deals available for Raycon. And from the 13th to the 20th of December,
oh my God, it's never ending.
Shipping when you spend over $85 and use the code.
So Raycon, right? So this guy represents you, does he? Okay. You're paying this man to plug your headphones. So I'm going to tie you to him, right? This is guy endorsing you. So let's see how Raycon is going to be associated with this asshole. Because everything I pull apart, I'm going to say sponsored by Raycon. When he does his asshole moves, which he will inevitably do from here on forth.
Holiday. Right, back to today's video, which, as I said at the start, is the continuation of Flatzoid's response to Professor Dave. We had just finished the argument from Professor Dave that flat earthers always use the 8 inches per mile squared.
Sorry, flat earthers never use 8 inches per mile squared, because that is your claim, you stupid shit, sponsored by Raycon. We do not claim the Earth has an 8 inch per mile squared curvature to it. You do! You fucking retard!
And we move on to how they always say that water is always level.
It's a fucking principle used to build things. You can buy one in B&Q. It's called a spirit level. Is this guy thick as shit?
Earthers?
Sorry, go on, John.
You know those flat earthers that like are engineers and surveyors? Those flat earthers. He might be talking about those flat earthers. You got to let him give context.
But you know what a water level is, Dan? It's literally used for building things. And the title depicts what it does. But you're suggesting otherwise. Sorry, do Raycon think that water isn't level? Are Raycon thick? Are they beside you in your assertion that literally the tool used to build things flat, the water level, isn't level. Sponsored by Raycon.
Here we go.
Let's get back to this video. Is it showing? I really hope so. Okay. This guy's failing miserably.
All flat earthers say the same two things about...
That's a stereotyping fallacy that's just come out of Professor Dave Explains via Flatsoid, via SciManDan, via me. So this is my reaction.
Raycon.
Sponsored by Raycon. This is my reaction to SciManDan's reaction, to Flatsoid's reaction, to Professor Dave's reaction, to Flat Earthers, according to SciManDan, saying that 8 inches per mile squared is something that we claim.
water. The first is water doesn't curve.
Sorry, water doesn't curve. Water does find and maintain level. It's used to build things with. Am I missing something here? This is a list of things that Flat Earthers say that what is wrong? Right? How do you think things get built level?
The second is water finds its own level.
Yeah, it does. That's the principle that they employ when they build things. Sponsored by Raycon.
Water at rest is level. So water finds its own level is true. Just like when you go to a lake and it's at rest, it's level.
Why is it they refer to, you know, when they get elevations of things and they put them on maps? They normally have a point that they refer it all to. Why is it that they refer it to? Would it be sea level? Anybody? Nobody's backing me up.
Well, yeah, that's the angle that you know, that's how you take your angle is from the flat baseline of sea level.
You take an angle from it. So it can't possibly be curved. Sea level, water level, especially if you're acquiring an angle from it. You know, it'd be absurd to navigate if the baseline that you're getting an angle from, and that would be sea level, was curved. Curves aren't level. That's the antithesis of level.
Oh, look at that. Is that curving to you? No, water does not curve. It's level.
Flatsoid there doing the classic Flurf thing of always confusing level with flat.
So they're synonymous. Can someone bring me up a definition of level? Because these two words are synonymous with one another, Dan. Were you unaware?
This is called physics. That's why they have water levels when they do construction of big buildings. Sometimes they even create their own little water level of like 100 meters or something, literally from the ground, and fill it with water so they can have a level of 100 meters when doing construction. Why is this, Dave?
It was a great party, but someone's got to do the dishes.
Let it be.
Probably because over 100 meters, the curve of the massive Earth in comparison is negligible.
Is it because
Sorry, we started this off by you telling us about 8 inches per mile squared, and now you're telling us about how negligible it is. No. The curve of the Earth is claimed to be at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's your claim. Why is it that I, the flat earther, not getting sponsorship by Raycon, actually understands the globe claim in the first instance? Not negligible. You stupid moron. You've got maths to assert that boats are going over Earth curve. But you think it's negligible when we're using and utilising levels to build things. So your response, when he points out that water levels are used to build things, is to completely deny your own fucking claim of Earth curve by saying it's negligible. No, you've got very hard and fast Earth curve maths, Dan, you stupid idiot. Sponsored by Raycon, who are obviously sponsoring idiots now. Go on.
What I tell you guys, every time they use that word negligible, it's because there's something that's supposed to be there, but they can't say that it's there because it's not there. So it's just negligible.
So the Earth's curved, but water level isn't flat unless we're building on it flat, and then Earth curve's negligible. No, it's definitely claimed to be at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, regardless, because it's always supposed to be curving under all circumstances. The fact is we debunked it. Go on, whoever from Discord.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay, it's both
Go on,
of
Eli,
us.
then Paul.
I just wanted to say that I posted in chat. I typed in flat synonym. The first word there under adjective is level.
All I was going to say, I think when they're doing surveying to make a building, it's important that they're going to be flat. They have to have flat. And let me give you an example why. If it's not flat, like if I'm putting up a beam, right? Let's say I'm putting up a beam to put the roof on. If I put especially a tall building, maybe 3 or 4 story building, the further you go away, the bottom of the beam might be right, but if you go to the top of the beam and it's curved, you're going to have a distance at the top of the beam, trying to connect another beam than you would one that's further down. So when they're doing surveying, they want to make it flat. They have to, or the building will not be square, right? My wife does kitchen design. She's worried about a 1/4 inch or an inch off when she's designing something. Don't you think someone building a building would be worried about inches off? Because my wife is when she's designing a kitchen. If it's not flat, it can't be square, and all your measurements are going to be off.
Right.
You're trying to make it square.
Yeah. Their principle is that it's flat. They build on it flat. They use water to establish how level it is. But it's just negligible Earth curve at that point, eh, Dan? Shouldn't you be fighting for how curved it is?
Right. The negligible and measurable are opposites.
Yeah, it's
So
claimed
you
to be
can't claim
measurable.
it.
I'm telling you, that's like a poker tell. Anytime they use that word, listen to the context of how they're using it. They're literally using it to say that something that's supposed to be there is not there. It's such a tell. It's hilarious that they haven't even caught on to it yet.
Yeah, Miggy calls it the jazz hands.
Yeah, fingers. Hey, look over here.
Water curves, or is it because water finds its own level?
Well, it does do both, to be fair.
Sorry, both. So having one level higher than another and being the same level simultaneously. Now that's a married bachelor. Sorry, Raycon. This man is contradicting himself in one sentence, like fundamentally retarded. This is a man that speaks for your headphones, does he? Retards promote Raycon. Retards who contradict themselves and offer up married bachelors. Levels both curving and level. Retard. Sponsored by Raycon.
Depending on the distances involved. Over 100 metres.
Sorry, no. If it's curving, it doesn't matter about the distance. You stupid buffoon. It's either level or it has relief. Those two things are not the same. It's not depends.
You won't detect the curve, but...
It won't detect it at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet as laid down in the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. The bit that boats fall over, we're not going to detect it. It's just going to be negligible in this circumstance when we're talking about water levels and building things flat on the flat Earth we build on. No, definitely not negligible. Claim to be measurable, Dan. Why, you're double speaking. Raycon won't be happy. They'll be happy with me. They're getting their name mentioned quite a lot for free.
Over 100 miles, you will.
Oh, by the way, if you're buying Raycon, you're buying into what they buy into, which is retards. So retards support and buy Raycon. Dan's a retard, and he promotes them, because he thinks level and not level are the same, depending on the circumstances.
Right. Socrates.
You know this.
Say again?
When Socrates measured the angle to the sun from 500 miles away, he used the Earth as his baseline. 500 miles, Dan. 500 miles.
A flat and level. It must have been he was measuring an angle. Dan wouldn't understand this. I mean, he's stupid. Like the kind of people who buy Raycon are really stupid. Like being ripped off by morons. Supported by and paid for by morons. Like Dan. Yeah, Raycon, you listening?
This does also fall under relative density disequilibrium.
Oh no, not that one again. We've done that one to death, that's all.
A quite literal hand wave. So literally a hand wave dismissal from Dan. Top debating skills. Top rebuttal. A very literal on-screen hand wave. I thought it'd actually go on to do something and I'd have to retract that. No, a literal hand wave.
The second phrase is completely meaningless, so the fact that you all say that exact thing verbatim is just one of the many demonstrations that you all blindly repeat what you hear without...
Sorry. Water finds its level. A principle utilised in building things that Dan has had to disclaim the Earth curve is negligible to get around. Mindlessly parrot or a principle used in building things? Definitely not mindlessly parroted with lots of emojis just because another dickhead on YouTube tells you that flat earthers mindlessly parrot a principle used to build things.
Without giving it a moment's thought.
So, a moment's thought or quite literally building everything? That's not a moment's thought, it's how everything's been erected.
Spot on, Dave. And this is...
It's spot on what we mindlessly parrot that water level's level, while you tell us that it might be not level and level depending on our negligible Earth curve that's claimed to be measurable isn't. You stupid buffoon. Sponsored by Raycon. Only idiots buy these headphones. This is who promotes them. Idiots. Like the people who buy them, who must be moronic, like the people who promote them. That's Raycon headphones. If you've already bought them, obviously you're a moron like Dan.
It's been proved time and time and time again. Every time you hear a flat earther say that there cannot be an atmosphere without...
Sorry, an atmo... What now? Atmosphere? Sorry, it sounds like Dan thinks that air, that's atmo, takes the shape of a sphere. No, Dan, no. Our air that we're breathing, that's atmo, doesn't arbitrarily take the shape of a sphere. Gas, that's atmo, takes the shape of its containment. You can't have arbitrarily sphere-shaped air, especially not in a 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum, as I pointed out in your introduction. That doesn't work, Dan. That's a violation of the law of nature known as entropy law, second law of thermodynamics. Definitely not got arbitrarily sphere-shaped air, as you've just begged the question of. Now, begging the question of the outcome you're trying to prove here, with gas pressure without containment, by assuming air arbitrarily takes a sphere shape, is a logical fallacy. Again, employing logical fallacy is the work of morons, like the people who buy and support Raycon. Morons, thickos, like dumbos, who employ logical fallacy, like Dan here. He employed a begging the question fallacy of air taking an arbitrary sphere shape. Definitely not, Dan. You don't understand laws of nature.
Container.
As for the first phrase, stating that water doesn't curve is at least a coherent thought. How...
Sorry, Dan just said it depended on the circumstances. You're telling me that it's a coherent thought, even though it completely contradicts Dan, and this is in his own edited video? So Dan is so stupid as to put his own brethren, that's here and now, Mr. I'm not a professor, disclaiming how wrong he is about it being the same as level when it's not level. So it's a coherent description to say water does not curve. Doesn't. At rest, water's level.
Okay, first of all, problem. Telling us the second part of the statement is not relevant and it doesn't mean anything. It's the same statement as water doesn't curve, because level does not curve, Dave. It's no part higher than the other.
Well, actually, level does curve. If something...
What? Level, having no part higher or lower than the other, does curve, is the antithesis of level, says SciManDan.
Is always a certain level above water.
Sorry, you just drawn out a straight, flat, level line, Dan, with your hands. Why didn't you draw out a curve when you said level? Was it mentally impossible for your hands to follow the line of a curve whilst describing level? Because that's what you've just done. You drew a flat line. Hello? Because that's what level is.
Let's say, for example, a piece of rope. Then after a while, that rope will begin to curve. It will...
What? So then it's a curved rope and isn't level anymore? What's your point? These two things are the antithesis of one another.
Curve, yet remain the exact same height above the water.
So the same height above the water when curving. So how does that prove that Earth is curving? Negligibly?
Must I go and get a definition for level now as well? Level, a horizontal plane.
Pretty clear.
Or line with respect to the distance above or below the given point.
So if there's a curve, that would put something above or below that point, wouldn't it, Dan? Sponsored by Raycon, Dan thinks that curves are level. I mean, that is fundamentally retarded on so many levels. Like the kind of people who buy Raycon headphones think that a curved line, and that would be a point that has further points below it, is the same as one that doesn't have any point higher or lower than it. The antithesis of one another. This is retardation beyond comprehension. Like, how stupid is Dan? And that's not rhetorical. I want to know how thick Dan is from you guys. Nobody wants to comment. You're just enjoying my rage at Dan.
Well, I mean, you did mention, like, I'm not watching the video, but you did mention how he Oakley built himself, apparently, describing level and using his hands to describe a flat plane when he simultaneously is saying how curved it is. I mean, he just snaps his own wig off with that nonsense.
Just courtesy of QE on screen.
Yeah, what's this? This is a bent water level? Is this dependent on scale? Is it sometimes higher or lower than the other, but also simultaneously capable of providing you with a level when you're building something? I mean, which is it, Dan, you stupid idiot? Sponsored by Raycon, bought by morons like Dan, promoted by morons like Dan.
And he just debunked himself right there. A line with respect to the distance above or below a given point.
Yeah. So, what, a curve?
Exact example I just gave a minute ago.
Does a horizontal...
What example did he give a minute ago that conform with both bent and non-horizontal and level all at the same time? When did he do that? Was that just a baseless assertion about something he didn't do in his own video?
Line curve, Professor? No. Having a flat horizontal surface, Professor Dave. Okay? So, when you state things like it doesn't curve, it's water finds its own level, you are stating the water from point A to point B is a horizontal plane. Okay, just had to point that out.
However, it is dead wrong. Put a drop of water on a piece of wax.
A drop of water? A drop? What, as opposed to, like, when you draw out a massive amount of tubing to find an established level for building things? Would that be a drop of water? Does this drop of water represent the atmosphere, sphere-shaped air and the world below it in a sky vacuum? This drop of water? No, definitely not.
This little droplet have what you call surface tension.
Yes, but it does debunk the point that water doesn't curve.
Water finds and maintains level. That's what it does.
It doesn't say large bodies of water don't.
What, like they use for building? Like you've used in... What's the building that's got like a massive stretch of level water used to establish that they're building a tool that's level? There's some crazy, really expensive billion-dollar building with a canal right next to it. Like literally using the principle of the water to make sure that the building's built level. Anybody know the name of that?
LIGO.
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 LIGO. Were they using a drop of water for that, Dan?
Curve. It says water does not curve.
Right, it's what, some straw man oversimplification from Dan.
These photos clearly show otherwise, regardless of the explanation.
Well, therefore, water bends around the surface of a curve to be level. Does it, Dan?
There's little fine particles and dust and stuff holding onto it. It's holding it. It's like having a group of people holding hands together. You are linked together. and you create a circle. It's simply that. It's all the air pressure. Remember, Heinz? Air pressure is greater than that little droplet with the little dust particles on it, which is giving it water tension.
Probably the worst explanation for surface tension I have ever heard.
Why? What was wrong with it? Does Dan ever actually qualify any of his straw man statements? I mean, when I pulled apart his nonsense introduction, he didn't even say any words. He had a depiction of Earth as a sphere in a sky vacuum, and I qualified how it wasn't real. Whereas when Dan seems to think he's debunking something, he just says, that's a nonsense statement. Cut to the next bit.
I noticed the same thing with Blue Marble Science. Like, I saw a whole video and I was like, where was the debunk?
Hence why it's that way. Now, if you had to add another droplet to it, see, it's already starting to what? Find its own level. The more water you add to it, the more pressure it creates, the more it's going to get.
Hero Wars is an online
level. That's why hence it finds its own level. Keyword yeah, find, Professor. Well, not Professor, Dave.
Wax paper or a leaf. What does it look like? A freaking sphere.
This is the type of arguments you get from these guys.
None of these are spherical. Just thought I'd point that out.
Guys, this is it. I haven't really seen any. How can I put it? I haven't seen anything of value from this guy presented, and we're number 3 already.
Well, how about this? This is a blob of water in the International Space Station now.
Right. So you think that this image has been taken from a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum that is representing a light in the sky we call the ISS as being a place that a guy can fly around Earth as a sphere with an orbital value assumed with an R to claim that he's now falling to create this effect. No, absolutely not. The place that this is claimed to be, if this is claimed to be imagery from the ISS, is fake. There is no men falling around in a tin can in a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum. So this is automatically fake. I don't need to pull apart the After Effects CGI levels. I don't need to show a green screen because the place this is claimed to have come from is akin to Narnia. There is no sky vacuum with men in tin cans falling around in it. We'd all be dead. The gas we breathe would fill the space. And Dan's arbitrarily assigned atmosphere, sphere-shaped air for them to traverse to then fall around Earth is a violation of natural law. Gas doesn't find a sphere shape to be in. And this demonstration in CGI in a fake place isn't going to cut it down because we can debunk every aspect of the claim location this demonstration is claimed to be taking place in. If the location itself is fake, I can crap about the demonstration because it's fake. The very literal place it's supposed to be itself is fake. Everything about it, therefore, from that point forward, is also fake. I don't have to debunk anything else. It's come from a fake place. Shout out to Chow Young Cat. He says, hold firmly to the word I preach to you, that Christ died for our sins according to the scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised on the third day according to the scriptures. Heart, hand, and then a Bible with a cross on. Thank you very much for the super chat, Chow Young Cat. Really appreciate the support. Can you grab us a pop, hun? Thanks. Right. Let's move on.
Now, of course, this is also water tension, but crucially, why does it have that spherical shape? Why not rectangular? Or
why is this taking place in a place that doesn't exist? I give this 0 credit because it's coming from a fake place. So why are we discussing the CGI renderings taking place on a soundstage here on Earth as though they're taking place in a second law of thermodynamics violation, Narnia, sky vacuum? None of this is real, Dan.
Or a flat shape. Think about that flatsoid.
No, I won't be thinking about things that take place in sky vacuums.
This is a guy that calls himself a professor, for Pete's sake, and he can't even bring up an argument that brings any logic and value to it.
It had plenty of value and logic, but you just can't grasp the argument as usual, matey.
It's insane.
Isn't that something? In your haste to mind...
Like Eli just said, he
Right.
didn't present one. Dan, he didn't present any rebuttal. Go on,
I know
whoever.
you don't want to cover this. Flatsoid did a good bit on the actual rendering, showing the eye positions last night. But if you just, I know you don't want to cover it, but if you go back to that image where he's got the water droplet, just look in the background, and these flags hanging down. Now they're blurred out, but they're hanging. The flags hang in space, do they? Now, I know they spent a lot of money on the foreground to make that water droplet. All the CGI they've used for that, but they forgot that the flags they've hung up in the background are hanging.
Okay, I'll just see if I can. Is it playing?
Look, it's a little blurry, look, but can you see it? Look, the Swiss flag, the German flag, all painted on a white flag that's hanging down.
Oh yes, in the background, like washing.
Yeah, like a washing line.
Yeah, Dan. Why the flags hanging down? Who gives a shit? Sorry, you duped me into this, Adam. You bastard.
I know. I did apologise. First, I know you don't want to do this, but it's just like.
Yeah, I could, like Adam's done, spend all day
error, isn't it?
pulling apart the inconsistencies. But what are they? They are continuity errors. Well, why would I describe them as continuity errors? Because it's a production. This is a set. So you're going to buy into the magic tricks that they're showing you on a set? No, I'm afraid not. You have suspended disbelief beyond where I can suspend it, Dan. You're going to use that as an argument? You've got to be joking. Yeah, prove you can have a gas pressure without a container if you're going to show me this shite and claim it as a proofsy.
About water.
What did you
You
say?
forgot to look at water.
Again, Dave, air pressure around it. Little dust particles. It's called water tension. It's a droplet of water, Dave.
I'm not sure what's funnier, the fact that Flatsoid doesn't understand Dave's argument, or that he thinks surface tension is caused by dust.
When do you take a water droplet?
Pardon?
When did Flatsoid claim that the air pressure is caused by dust?
He mentioned dust in the water at some stage.
Right. But see, it's just a straw man, isn't it? He's taken something he's mentioned, rebuilt it into something that, and made a claim that Flatsoid's making out that dust creates air pressure.
And measure your level with the water droplet.
Water curves, my friends.
Okay. Water curves, guys, because of water tension of a droplet, guys. This is how water curves.
Just before we move on, so there's a couple of different levels to this argument that I've seen. If anybody could name a third, then fine. So there's also a different variation of this, which is the meniscus layer. So if you've got a pond and you go to the edge of it, you can see that it sort of dips down towards the edge where you've got the surface tension of the water meeting whatever the boundary is for the pond, for instance. And that has a curve to it. Now, we're talking about a millimetre. You know, you'd be hard pushed to see it with the naked eye. But it is there, and you can get a glass of water and probably do the same thing to see the meniscus layer of the water curving at the very edge, where it forms the surface tension. But the rest of the water's flat. So, okay, he's majoring on the minor, but to his credit, he's got a point. Depending on how the flat earther that he's challenging phrases water being flat, no, you can show raindrops, you can show droplets like they're showing, and you can debunk a badly phrased flat earth argument. Now, what Flatsoid's doing is clarifying the position as much as he possibly can, which is to say, no, water at rest finds and maintains level. Now, that's the succinct version of the statement that is a principle used in building. So, although it isn't necessary for us to get into the wrangle-dangle about bloody contradictions in terms about levels not being horizontal or flat, but the burden is on Flatsoid because he's taken it upon himself to address strawman claims that Dave has asserted. It's getting very confusing because this is a response to a response to a response. But that's just how it goes with Dan, it seems. That's what he does. I can relate, Dan. Yeah, I just don't get 115,000 views with my response videos to Neil deGrasse Tyson or you. Be nice if it was the case. It isn't.
But it does. It's on the screen.
Go on.
I just said you should. You should have more.
Of course.
Well, I mean, all he would really have to do is show that a body of water, such as an ocean, can actually conform to the outside of the sphere that he thinks he's on. So
Well,
he
then he
can
could
talk
go
about
on-
meniscus all he wants, but is the entire body of water doing that? I don't
It
think
won't.
so.
It can't. And we were all taught this in 3rd grade. I remember it very distinctly. Them teaching us how water level worked and then presenting a worksheet that showed a glass in various different orientations, and we were charged with drawing on the level of the water. Now, if you imagine a wine bottle, yeah, at the bottom, depending on the wine, it's sometimes got a piece that you put your finger in, yeah, like on the bottom of the wine bottle, like a little divot that you shove your finger in. If you imagine that divot thing goes into the bottle half an inch, and you've got 3/4 of an inch of wine in the bottle, does it conform to the curve of the divot at the bottom of the bottle, or does it find and maintain its level at the top? It finds and maintains its level, and it won't matter what orientation you put beneath the water. In other words, if there's a pond that's got what's it called, an island in the middle, yeah, and one day the pond, which is enormous, fills up too much, there's heavy rainfall, and it covers the island in the middle, yeah, it raises enough to cover the complete island that's in the middle. Does it conform to the surface underneath the water, i.e. curving up to the island and back down again in the middle of the pond? Does it conform to that? No. What about if you made the pond absolutely enormous? We made it a lake and put an island in the middle of the lake. Does it ever conform to the ground beneath the pond, or is it always finding and maintaining level? Doesn't matter what the surface beneath is doing. Water's level. That's what it does. It finds and maintains level. It's a principle used in building. It doesn't matter how many times I say it. Raycon will support morons who assert otherwise, even though it's a principle used in building.
I was thinking about it's funny because I know this is a tough argument for them, because literally just the physicality of water and its characteristics debunk the notion that we're on a ball with water conforming to the outside of it. Literally by itself. It does that. Just know how water works, and you know that it can't work on a ball.
Another quick shout out to Bex, who says, plain and simple, support. Well, thank you very much for the support. Really appreciate it.
Right there, I'm not sure why you're laughing.
Show me an ocean curving, please.
Now, that's a different question, Flatsoid. Here you go, by the way.
Another picture from a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum of gas pressure not filling space. So this is 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum, eh, Dan? You're not aware of entropy? Yeah, gas fills space. That's what it does. It expands in all directions at a high velocity to fill whatever volume is available to it. If this picture was real, we'd all be dead. How can you have this high pressure gas not filling space, Dan? Nonsense.
Sounds like he's also debunking celestial navigation in the baseline that you measure angles.
Sorry, John. When Flatsoid just said, so show me an ocean bending, and did he just say, oh, that's a different story? Wasn't that the story he was just trying to clarify with the meniscus and all this crap? So we okie doke to another story now because he asked for the actual proof, like what I just said. Show me the actual ocean bending like that. That's pretty cute.
Way.
Look at this curved meniscus.
There you go. I called it before it came up.
Look at these waves.
Waves, eh? All right, okay. So you think waves are debunking the fact that water finds and maintains its level and it's a principle used in building? No, it's not.
Yes, that's what they think. They say waves. Surfers ride waves and waves curve.
Yeah, and you can have raindrops as well. Fascinating stuff. Meanwhile, gas, which expands in all directions at a high velocity, is filling volume. So when you're showing us pictures from space, claim that all celestial navigation is bunk because you can't acquire elevation angles based on a picture taken from a place that isn't real, and you're going to debunk the principles used in building things with a wave. No, it's not going to cut it, lads. These 2015 arguments are crap.
Do you see how he has to go past it really quickly? Oh man, I hope I can get into it quickly. Curved meniscus. What is this container it is in? What is going on? Is it not having some tension on the sides, hence it seems to be curving?
A meniscus is more to do with water's adhesion than surface tension alone, Flat.
So we're going to attack the straw man,
Right,
then. We're going to attack this meniscus in an inch of water. That's what we're going to attack, is it? So
I'm happy to take that on.
Go on then. You feel free.
Well, what are we describing here? It's not just water. Water's a little special, which is why its meniscus is a bit more. But what's fundamentally being described here is the behavior of liquids, how liquids behave in containment. And when they have this containment, we get this meniscus forming. So fundamentally, we're describing the properties of liquids here. Let's go and describe the fundamental properties of gases and what happens with them in containment. So the divergence, you see, is to just focus on that tiny little bit, that tiny little bend at the point of meeting with the containment. I'm happy to accept that. That water does that, but let's then focus on the behavior of gases with containment, because that's their weakest argument. And if that's their strongest argument to discuss how intermolecular bonds work with water, then it's not really addressing their point, because it's literally just talking about that small zone where the containment occurs.
Like well, that's why you said the bending of the ocean is a different story.
There was nothing to do with it. Yeah, it's not. Even if you allow it, the two forces involved in creating that are very different, aren't they? One's gravity that's causing this massive bending of and not seeking a level fundamentally, whereas the other one is like it's the surface tension right at the boundary point. But the rest of it is flat, but you get that small pressure compression at that point, which creates a minute thing, but it doesn't change the validity of the statement that water finds its level. Just as a gas will fill its volume, will occupy its volume.
Got the best super chat ever from Sensual Goat. Says, I'm at work, right? I'm listening to the show using my Raycons. Now I feel sad and stupid. Unhappy face. This is the best possible advertising you could ever have. A whole show basically dedicated to your earbuds. Raycon are over the moon with this, I am sure. They're getting the best possible value out of their money they gave to SciManDan. Like always, none of it's coming my way. But maybe I should knock it on the head saying that people who own them are stupid. Or maybe not.
Well,
we'll see.
He's listening to us. He's not listening to SciManDan, so he's already got more props.
Yeah. On the other hand, you're probably right, Central. Go get yourself some Sonys. No, I'm only joking. Thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
Side.
And why is it curving the wrong way, Dave? Maybe that's why you had to quickly just poof
Yeah, that's a good point. I was thinking, God, this is getting a bit tedious actually listening to the meniscus response from Flatsoid. No offense to you, Flatsoid. It's just, that's just how it is. But yeah, suddenly Flatsoid's completely redeemed himself and caught my attention. It's going the wrong way, isn't it? What's going on? Shouldn't it be curving down?
Right? The little tiny bit of curvature they're arguing for is actually the reverse curvature of what they should be arguing for, which is hilarious.
So is this conforming to the surface of a sphere Earth? Is it down in this little test tube the wrong way?
What is causing that curve that way is completely different to the claim of why we have bendy level. Yeah, the force involved in that is gravity. That's the thing that makes level bent, isn't it? It's a completely different force as opposed to what's the supposed cause of the opposite directional curve. Point, Flatsoid.
Even then, that's not true, because it's a bending geodesics in space-time, isn't it?
Well, whatever they want to claim is its origin, they're saying that the reason that level is bent is because of gravity, fundamentally. However they want to describe gravity is up to them, but that's the causation for them having bendy level.
Pass it back for the people.
Again, you're missing the point here. You say that water doesn't curve, and Dave is just showing examples where it does.
Okay, so we would all concede, if you want a point for it, Dan, you've got one. Yeah, numpty dipshits that say water does not curve are idiots. However, water finds and maintains its level. It's a principle used in building. It was addressed initially, and you hand-waved it. You also said that when using that principle, it's only because Earth curve is negligible when it's claimed to be measured.
This curved meniscus. Look.
A curved wave. It's a moving water. Water finds its own level at rest. That's why you don't have the word rest in here. Is that why? So that's kind of dishonest, don't you think?
No, I don't, because it doesn't say water finds its own level at rest.
Well, what's it? It doesn't say. What, the straw man you're building up with a stereotyping fallacy about what flat earthers say? Because that's what this is. You're taking apart what flat earthers say. Yeah? Most tragic flat earth saga so far? This is a stereotyping fallacy, Dan. So what's it?
Does it?
What's it? Is it your stereotyping fallacy that flat earthers say water doesn't curve when they say water finds and maintains its level if they've got an ounce of intelligence?
So I'm not going to say you're too dumb to know it's rest, because at least you have an IQ 1 greater than Sean Hawkins, so you do know it at rest, but you're going to leave that out, because it's moving, that means it's not at rest. Dave?
Look at these waves. Water curves all the time.
Yeah, unless it's at rest, then it's quite useful for building things. Level. Isn't that what this is all about, right? Level being curved because you're morons?
Water is not magic. It is subject to influence by external forces.
Yeah, like air pressure, containment, temperature change, phase changes. Yeah, that's why they say at rest. Water lies level at rest.
Flat earthers trying to be scientists is just the
What? When did he claim to be a scientist? So is this going to be a projection for something later that comes where he has to use a little bit of a swindle with magic about science he hasn't got? Because I would suspect so. Preemptive projection? He didn't claim to be a scientist.
I love how he said water is not magic, when simultaneously trying to describe how a body of water can magically adhere to the outside of a ball.
Well, I think
the irony is beautiful.
I think it's the sharp, shiny
Excuse me
object
for
defense.
interrupting. Excuse me for interjecting, but does he have access to the main text chat? Because I posted some images of water dead still like a mirror on lakes. Dead still. And they're like mirrors.
Well, that's something we can get our teeth in. Maybe someone will post it in Master B so I can present it, and I will if it comes my way. But yeah, the fact that you can get a mirror off it, a mirror reflection, well, you can only get that if it's flat.
Yep.
First of all, happy Christmas, Mr. Gent. And if you
what up, yeah, same to you, sir. Same to you, sir. Glad to hear your voice, Mr. Aiken. Thank you.
Funniest thing, isn't it?
It seeks its own level. So when it seeks its own level and it becomes at rest, it lays perfectly level, flat, horizontal, plane.
Just like all other matter. With a spherical water droplet, that's the electromagnetic force. Water molecules make hydrogen bonds with one another, which in this context we refer to as cohesive forces. That's why water has a very high surface tension. And
he just debunked himself, guys.
He really didn't. I've had enough of Flatzoid for this one. Yet another 10 minutes of Flatzoid failing to understand an argument and then dishing out word salads left, right and centre. Look.
So you're going to detail it and how it's wrong? Dishing out word salad left, right and centre. Okay. So go through what he said and explain to us how it's wrong. Or is that just going to be your version of the second-hand wave dismissal? Let's see.
Look, I've had a lot of fun doing these, and there is more if you want more. Just
what of you doing precisely nothing?
Let me know in the comments. But for now, we're all done and dusted for another Flat Earth Friday.
What did he actually achieve?
Got some sponsorship, some headphones.
Got sponsorship. Just cash. Just make a shit video. Remove your cat at the start of it. I mean, amateur. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Here's those pictures from Jen. There's that first point he was making about the shape of the surface that the water sits upon. It doesn't conform to the surface.
Yeah, this is what I was describing at school. I remember doing this in like 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Best
Exactly.
example of that's like a swimming pool with a deep end. Right? Deep end's like 12, 13 feet, whatever. And the shallow end's like 6 feet. But what does the surface still look like though? Right.
Hey QE, how you doing?
Hey John. Good day.
Want to plug your show for tomorrow? You can plug your show if you want. I'm still live, so this is still relevant if you wanted to do a little plug for the first time ever. You normally join in the after show. I'm just happened to have run over because we were covering the end of this SciManDan video.
So you're going after low-hanging retards.
Yeah.
Well, that's challenging.
No, not really. It wasn't. More frustrating. I like doing Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'll be honest, right? They're the ones that I enjoy doing because he's good with his rhetoric, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he's careful with how he says things. So when he's got a tricky, like Coriolis, you find me a Neil deGrasse Tyson excerpt that you can explicitly cite as being incorrect, or when you're showing it to be correct, how it's easy to explain how Earth would be turning underneath to shorten flight times just based on one little snippet. You can't, because he's a really good wizard. Dan, what, 2 hand waves and 3 ad homs? That's what we got, along with an assertion that level can simultaneously curve. Like, absolutely asinine.
Sponsored by Raycon.
I think Dan's one of those people that I think he kind of counts on his audience being kind of stupid. So I remember what was it? It was one of those conferences or conventions a while ago, and I think it was it allegedly Dave or somebody challenged a couple of SciManDan fans, and they got destroyed.
Yeah, it was on the street.
Like yeah, like they didn't know anything. It was just like pathetic.
Yeah,
like, and they were wearing like
stall
SciManDan shirts or something.
Yeah, they've gone out.
Like,
They're out doing the, pressing the flesh out on the street. And Dave, who's on screen now, was one of the guys out there. And Dan, rather than going down there like a complete coward, encouraged his audience to go down and challenge Dave. And Dave, who's a died in the woods, full-on fledged, carded up flat earther, knows his stuff, absolutely annihilated them. It was truly a humiliating experience for poor old SciManDan's fans, who he'd encouraged to go down. It's like, why aren't you going down there, Dan? To show Dave, who's out on the street prepared to put his money where his mouth is, go into public and say, here I am, I'm talking about the Earth being flat. Where are you, Mr. I won't debate? Oh, you'll send your audience down. What coward. Anyway, yeah. With that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. Another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a member and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on an after show, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!